Radio in motion. Program loading in 3, 2, 1. Program activated.
Attention everyone, the unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake.
Okay, first things first, what is your name?
This is Big Sonny playing the best of the 90s and beyond.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Radio in motion.
Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go.
All right, here we go.
Radio in motion.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. You're listening to Radio in Motion, tonight's jam session. Kicking it off there with 5 in a row, we had Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots. If that doesn't sort of tell you the theme of tonight, again, like I say, I'm coming off the back of seeing Pearl Jam live, and I couldn't recommend them any more as being at the absolute top of their game. But first up, before we get back to the great music, we're going to have another episode of The Ugly Truth. And the ugly truth is, I think ignoring men has become the norm. Just sort of at the tail end of November, which is traditionally Movember, which obviously, tries to put a lens on men's mental health. I feel like I didn't hear about it at all this year, and as a whole, I feel like it seems to have just been a fad. And considering there's pretty much a day for everything and everyone else constantly all month long for the entire year, I know men currently are at the bottom of the rung when it comes to modern appreciation. We certainly are the lapdogs now. But I think the fact that International Men's Day was actually November 19th, that went by with a whimper. Didn't even know about it. But, there are some places in the world that still really celebrate it. Kenya celebrated, for example. And I thought, well, what would be a good gauge to figure out if, men are being left behind in the mental health realm, and recognizing that, we're all human. And as much as I can't stand ideologies and everyone has to be put in a category these days and in a box, and you have to stand with your section and fight all the others and be divisive. I think all that's rubbish. I think we're all humans. We're a part of the human race and the human tragedy that is life, and it is hilarious and tragic and wonderful all at the same time. So when it comes to mental health, I think it should transcend all races and genders. But as a bit of a litmus test, I thought, I'll check out and see what the UN website is doing. God knows they have the pulse of the world. I say that in jest because I think they're actually just, derived of elitist and power-hungry people. So the UN is not exactly the voice of the people, but as a gauge to see if they care about men. So I checked out the UN website. There are at least 40 or more, probably on the side of 50, different variations of all ethnicities, shapes and sizes, all countries, all types, all ideologies, recognizing women. And I thought, well, I know that there is International Men's Day. That's a thing. So I thought, how many sort of Men's Day do they recognize? Exactly 0. I encourage you to go check that out yourself. So exactly 0. That's great. But on the tail end of that, I'm so glad that they did recognize World Toilet Day and International Day of the Potato. I think that's important. Potatoes certainly are important. Men can be like potatoes. I mean, if we have to be more like potatoes to sort of get recognition for our feelings, I'm happy to be more like a potato. Just let us know. Let us know what you want. And, having seen that sort of disparity, I don't think you can solve equality by ignoring half the population. And I know so many people, whether they're friends or colleagues, where they tend to like to promote that sort of, they use those words, equality, but I really don't think they know what they mean. So I just want to talk about that tonight, mental health. I'm going to talk about a couple things where it seems, friendship, just men being able to cultivate and hold on to friendships is sort of on the decline. And I am going to talk about all things important about support and friendship and men finding those connections. And I'm going to turn that around at the end and tell you why there are some times when I think you'll find that is the unique thing about men. A surprise, men and women are different. I don't know if you knew that. They are different. Sometimes there is a time for solitude, and there's a strength in that. And I'll stay tuned to the end. Trust me, that's the part I really want to talk about as to where this is all going. But first, sort of some statistics. Everyone likes stats. Got to have stats to back it up. And then there's those, once you give them the stats, they immediately ignore them. As I say, I'm on this journey with you, not talking at you. So as always, look these things up yourself. But just in Australia, for example, each day, 6 men take their lives. 82 men call an ambulance for suicidal thoughts or attempts. And again, some of the things I'm going to talk about are heavy, and I in no way diminish, how serious mental health is, but I am going to let you know that there are certainly things to combat that, because I think there's so much noise as well about sort of feeling that fire and being so focused on mental health, it becomes like an echo chamber. Again, if you actually have these issues, by all means, you need to reach out and find help. But I am going to talk about sometimes it just becomes a vicious cycle of someone enabling you to get more lost in thoughts that just exacerbate mental health in a negative way. But that's just Australia. So 6 men take their lives each day. In the U.S., a man dies from suicide every 13 minutes. And that statistic is growing amongst younger men. And I think that is quite sad. And again, I've talked about this before. I think it's indicative of the new sort of social media phenomenon where we are all now just these avatars in the matrix. And as much as there is no immediate physical camaraderie and being in front of someone, some say, oh, it's the same thing, but it's just online. But I think the problem with that is it's a sick reward system, just like going to the pokies. It's all about vindication. How many likes can you get? Do you like me? Am I appreciated? People are always looking for others to like them and vindicate their purpose in the world. And I think that's a problem in itself right there. You shouldn't have to look to every single person around you to say, is it okay to be me? And it's all about getting likes online. Another thing is 2/3 of homeless people or sleeping rough are men. And again, I feel like I've not really gotten in arguments, but I've had to sort of persuade people, again, to look this up themselves. There's always this assumption about and again, this is not a competition. That's the other thing that drives me nuts. There's this victimhood competition now. How many layers of victimhood can I get? Because that's how you get to the top of the pyre. I've gone on about that before, and I won't talk about too much here. But there is this, victimhood intersectionality, which really is how many layers of victimhood can I put on before I get that part of the group that's at the top. And I won't go into the specifics, but essentially, white male is at the lowest rung of that intersectionality totem pole. Everyone else in every victimhood layer gives you more points, and you're at the top. And I think that's ridiculous because, frankly, men are still the ones in this world that bear the brunt of some of the most difficult things, whether it is still about some of the most difficult, dangerous jobs in the world are still taken on by men. And usually after things like divorce or any breakup or anything difficult in their life where they didn't find that support, I'm sorry, men are the ones that tend to end up on the street. And again, the stats do reflect that. 94% of workplace fatalities are men. Again, I'm not trying to have a competition, but this is about men's health, so I'm going to talk about men. I think women, you've got plenty of days throughout the year to talk about your issues. Plus, men and women are different. I'll get into that in a minute, just on how they communicate. Women naturally open up more, and as much as, of course, they can fall through the cracks too and have mental health issues and need support, as I said, we all do as humans, regardless of gender. But I do feel women do communicate a little bit more openly with each other, and there is a better chance of them finding that support. And yeah, definitely after a relationship breakup, men always get it worse. After divorce, 85% of those cases children are removed from the day-to-day life from men. And I don't want to hear about, oh, well, that's because the man was toxic or bad, or, again, when it comes to something as bitter as divorce can get, both men and women can both be horrid. I would hope they always have the best interest of the children in mind, but if the father and the mother are both willing to give that love, and there's no issues, there's no drug issues, or there's no physical abuse, which again, both men and women are capable of drug abuse and physical abuse. If the man is ready to be a part of the kid's life, there is just this assumption, and they automatically go with the mother. I don't think that's healthy in any situation, and I think you realize a lot of the way young people are growing up without a mother and a father. I think it further proves that there's an issue. And again, yes, I just mean parenting in general is tough. Father and a father, or mother and a mother. I'm not going to get into that. I'm saying you need as much support as you can get. And if this is about a mom and a dad, and the mom gets them over the dad, I think that's ridiculous. And I am going to tell this story. I wasn't sure I was going to tell it, but it has stuck with me, and I do want to tell it. And before I get into it, I do want to say, as always, I am someone that forgives, but I won't necessarily forget. And a lot of the world's like that. But the forgive part is important. So this is just a story in general. This is not anything to do with me, but this is just a story that I know is a factual story. And it just gives me pause and makes me a bit sad with the state of just general conversation that people have these days. And this was a general conversation being had by someone, and this individual told another group of individuals talking about COVID, and they said, COVID didn't kill enough older white males. And the people around this person also sort of fed into that and had a bit of a talk or a joke about it. So whether it's joking or serious, just that statement alone, even if there is 5% seriousness to that statement, the problem is this person is someone who is historically known to be respected in the community, someone that we are taught by their very profession to be trusted. And the fact that someone who has such a profession where they should engender trust from adults and children alike, I think it was abhorrent for me to hear that they said, COVID didn't kill enough older white males. Hey, I'm not saying there's older white males who aren't a problem, but I think again, when you put someone in a category and you say that they shouldn't be on this earth for whatever reason, I think you dove right into racism while thinking that you're steering away from it. What if someone had said that about I don't think COVID killed enough older black males? Well, that person wouldn't be in their career anymore. So again, I'm just saying in general, that's something that is even out there being discussed is horrible. And another thing, like even gender equality at work, of course, the world has come a long way. My goodness, everyone working together so well these days. And I know, yes, there was a lot of misogyny in the past, and we're all being punished for that. I get it. But it's funny how some things still creep through where, they want to ensure that we say how equal men and women are. And in every way that matters about your mind and your heart and your passion as a human, of course we are equal. We are humans on a path to reach our dreams and do whatever we want. But it's funny when even I'm at work and it comes to lifting a heavy box, someone will say, oh, well, we can't do that. We're girls. Oh, well, shit. So it was gender equality up until that point, up until gotta lift something. I got to get the 6'5" man to do it. What if I have a bad back? What if I'm scared of boxes? What if boxes trigger me? What if the smell of cardboard triggers me and makes me go into post-traumatic stress disorder? You don't know that. You can't assume that. You can't assume that because I'm a big man, I'm going to lift a box and be happy. 9 times out of 10, I will, and I do, but I just think that's another interesting point where, when it all comes down to it, sometimes people end up pointing out there is a difference between men and women, and they want to exploit that when they need to. So yeah, like I say, no race, no gender, no age should be dismissed. But it seems men are being dismissed. We're not devoid of feelings. Perhaps we don't convey them as openly. much like we're meant to unpack the great mystery of life, which is women. And I'm happy to unpack that. That is, let's face it, I hate to tell you this, girls, but half the things that anyone makes as a positive thing, the reasons we reach for the stars and reach to build rockets to the moon and try to better mankind, we do this for you. We do it just to impress women, just letting you know. So that's our way of communicating. The other thing I want to talk about, like I said before, was that apparently, there's a huge issue with men's sort of friendship declining. I don't mean a current friend that they have, although that happens to too. You lose touch, and it's important to keep in touch because sometimes, especially those friendships you've made as a child, you have such a bond and a timeline that you can reference that's so unique. And I'm always open to making friends now and as I'm older, but it's still not the same as the ones you've made as a kid. But just the process of making and sustaining friends. And here's something again, look these things up. These are just some stats I was looking up. It does tend to be, and this makes sense, one reason for that is historically women, whether it's wives or girlfriends or even friends in men's lives, they tend to be the cruise director on this. And in a way, this is sort of calling men out on this. And I get that. And we have to own that. We have to find a way to figure it out ourselves. Because historically, it is the woman or the wife in the relationship who's planning all the weekends. And men are like, I really don't care either way. Stay home, go out, whatever. Is there going to be food? I'll go. Just tell me where. Point me in the direction and I'll go. And you know what? That's calling us out. That's a laziness on us to just, all these decades pretty much having the women as the cruise director for our lives. And they're the ones that at the dinner party, they've put on this, huge spread. And the men, of course, they all gather and by the barbecue. And then they start to chat about, men stuff, garage tools, cars, all these things. And then they start to make these friendships and bonds. But frankly, the man probably would have never gotten to the party because he would be happy tinkering around the house. So yeah, we have to own that and figure out a better way. And there's something I wanted to point out that is so unique. So this is in Australia. It's called Men's Shed. Definitely check it out. mensshed.org. This is fantastic. So this is a group that brings men together. It's the national service provider supporting more than 1,200 men's, women's, and community sheds, as recognized as Australia's largest male-based community development organization. Now, what is Men's Shed? Well, what they recognize is that men don't talk face-to-face. They talk shoulder-to-shoulder. Now, this is a phrase on their website, and it couldn't be more poignant. That's absolutely true. Men bond over doing stuff, over being provoked into talking about a thing, usually when they're doing a thing. And again, surprise, men and women, whether you think it is or isn't on a DNA level, men and women are different on a feelings level and how we're wired, and that's a fact, and how we interact with each other. And women naturally, I put it to you like this: look into any cafe in town, and look in the window, and tell me who you see sitting across from each other. It's primarily going to be women. Sure, there'll be some men and women. The guy's probably on a date, and his foot's tapping because he wants to get out of there. Now the food keeps us there. There's a good spread. We're going to eat that. But and when confronted face to face, and again, as much as I say we are all evolved as a human race, there are still part of our, primitive lizard brain that is sometimes about protection, and whatever it is, yes, men still have that, and we don't like to be confronted with that face in front of us because we're probably still wanting to battle. And if you scoff at that, then you don't understand that as much as we're the evolved, illuminous beings, we're still just mammals, and we have that history inside us, and we have those instincts inside us. So yes, men don't open up like that, but you put them next to each other, working on something, working on a car, maybe they're playing golf, they will immediately open up and talk because they're focused on something else and they sort of look to the side. Again, this is you can see this in physical behavior. You can see this at parties. I guarantee you. Think about this next party and actually look for it, or think about one you've been to. The men don't stand right in front of each other and talk, with the drink. They're all sort of adjacent and in a bit of a huddle, but they're not right in front of each other. That's a fact, because that's just not what men do. And so, again, recognizing the differences is a good thing. So Men's Shed, they recognize that, and I think that is fantastic. So, they have these facilities, these sheds, and it's where, you go and you're working on something, you're building something. Maybe it's crafts, maybe it's woodworking. It's something to where you're getting your hands. That's a natural thing for a man to want to build something, to want to create something. We want to go out and build a house. I know I do. I know it's cheesy, but I do. I want to build a cabin. We all do. I don't know if we all get there, but frankly, we're all on YouTube looking at how to build a log cabin and where can I build it off grid. It's a fact. So that's where we open up, and Men's Shed recognize that, and I think that's great that they can cultivate that and be able to make friends. So another thing is, and this is a difficult topic, which is suicide, but some of the common words used before someone has taken their own life, and if they have left behind any sort of message, some of the common words used to describe themselves before suicide is worthless and useless. And think about that's heartbreaking. That's a real loneliness to end up like that, to feel like you're not needed by family, you're not needed by work or your community, you're not adding value to anyone's life. You're actually feel like you're a drain on them. And let me tell you, that is certainly something sad to think that men are feeling like that. And again, I could go into it more probably at another time, into it deeper. And both men and women are probably feeling like this, but I do feel like men are having a bit of an identity crisis in that, especially as the world becomes more modernized and AI and as much as there still are, of course, there's dangerous jobs out there, like I tell everyone, and both women and men can do it. But as a whole, sometimes it still is predominantly men who are out there in some of the most physically dangerous and challenging jobs, and they still exist, but sometimes, it's not about going out and hunting anymore, bringing back the carcass for the family and protecting your family in war. Again, a lot of those things we do have to evolve out of and find a purpose in the new world, and that can come through anything. Suicide is certainly the ultimate and the worst, but it can also come from just something like an addiction. Addiction can take over, and another thing is just checking out. And again, if you recognize this in yourself, please seek help. If you recognize this in someone else, that they've just checked out, you can see the signs. Let them know, that they are valued. There's always something out there that they are needed for. And this is some of the simplest things that I always tell people. I'm not saying it solves all the problems, but if you've ever seen someone light up when, especially, they're struggling to find a job, and I'm talking seriously struggling, not like you can't find the right job or you're haggling over pay. I'm talking about someone who maybe they've gone through a rough time. Maybe they've come back from overseas, they've been in the military, and they're having a hard time, sort of assimilating into the world. Again, I'm not saying it solves everything, but just the simplicity of having someone recognize and say, you know what, you're the man for the job, you start Monday. I'll tell you what, it can change things around right there. It can change everything around, even if it's a crappy job and it doesn't last, and it opens up the doors to something else. You've met someone else, you've made connections there, and that's how it's worked through history. But it's that first time when someone is struggling to find a purpose. I do think sometimes a job, even a simple one, even if it's volunteer work when you're getting older, if it is something about being part of the community and being a mentor, or you're working at some workshop, maybe you've taken a skill that you had and you were paid for your entire life, but now you're feeling a bit bored. I think that's another, causal effect with retirement. I think it can be a bit scary. There's always this image of, the couple on the beach drinking at the sunset. Well, that's week one. I'm not an alcoholic, so that's week one of drinking. And I'm drunk now, and once I come out of my stupor, what am I going to do if I live for another 20 years, which God willing, we want to live to an old age and reap the benefits of the hard work we've done. I think there's a danger in that, in retiring, just saying, all right, I'm ready to do nothing. No, you're ready to shift your focus and find that road less traveled, whether it's alone or with your partner. You want to find that next journey. You don't want to just sit at home and drink pina coladas. By the way, if that's your journey and that makes you happy, then do it, buddy. Retirement's for you. You can pina colada it every weekend. But yeah, feeling needed and having that feel like you are valued and not a burden. You'd think that's something that, well, why would someone feel that? I think a lot of people do, especially as they get older and especially men, again, as the stats say. So I'm just going to end this with talking about, so where do we go with all this? What is, men's role in the world? As much as I say for anyone, it is important to cultivate friendships and family. And it is important because the experiences that you experience, if you are someone who wants to always be alone, which I don't think is good, but you don't get to share that with someone else. And that is the whole point of telling someone about your journey. Or I did this, or I climbed this mountain, I went hiking, whatever it was. It is sharing that and getting that feedback and having someone else join you on that journey, even if it's just talking about it. That is important. But what I'm going to say now is also a bit different. It is about being alone. And I do think men are predisposed sometimes to do that. And I'll be honest, as I get older, there's one of those funny sayings from Mark Twain, which is essentially the more I get to know people, the more I like my dog. It's not that we all want to go in the hills and be a grumpy old man, but I do think, especially women, need to recognize the difference about men is that sometimes being alone is not about wanting to alienate yourself or narcissistic or being selfish. It's some people, and look, I'll be perfectly honest. I grew up an only child. I'm very secure with being alone. I don't, as much as I'm talking now, I love to talk, but I'm also happy to be silent. There are those times when I love that the most. I'd be happy to go the whole day not talking. I've gone to Bunnings and someone has asked me a bunch of questions. I just give them a bit of a nod or a thumbs up. I don't have anything. I don't have anything to prove. I don't have anything to say. Again, I'm not being antisocial, but there's a solace in just being in yourself, and to be secure in that, to not need anyone else. Like I said before, there's such this drive for everyone to be liked, and your happiness is based on someone else liking you. The hell with that. The hell with someone else's approval of you is how you can move forward and be secure with yourself. That's bullshit. You need to leave that behind right now, especially if you're an older man. Don't even get into that. Don't even start that world. Go online, check out some YouTube clips, go on Facebook, post a pic, have a laugh, and then get out of there. Get out of that echo chamber, man. You don't need to be liked by anyone. You don't need to prove it. So like I said, about being alone, and no, this shouldn't be all the time. That's not healthy. But there are times when it is healthy. If someone else has the answers, again, this isn't about if you actually have the need for therapy or something and you need someone to help you. That's different. But if you're not finding those answers, you may be surprised that they don't have the answers to give you. They don't have the answers for you. You won't find them in all the Facebook likes. So really a man that has become secure with who he is and has sort of learned to walk that path without leaning on others to validate and reassure him, there's nothing wrong with that. That's still a healthy path, okay? I'm not saying being alone as a negative. I'm seeing being alone for a time as a healthy. We live in a world where everyone is just screaming to be heard, like me, like me, like me. And to see someone that doesn't need that is actually pretty rare. Silence, solitude, not afraid to be in their own company. And again, it's not about selfishness. I love me so much. I love being with me. I hate to tell you this, folks, but you came in this world alone and you're leaving alone. As much as you may be, you'll have all your friends around you, and I hope they are when you cross that rainbow bridge. But the fact is you're leaving alone. So you should be comfortable with yourself. You should get to know yourself. Nothing wrong with that at all. If you're able to look in the mirror and face what you see and not panic, frankly, some people can't. I think they should find that. I'm not having a go at them, but I think a lot of people cannot face what they see in the mirror. And that makes me sad for them. But don't feel bad if you can. The good and the bad. To face yourself in the mirror and recognize the good and the bad, and be okay with it. To ask the hard questions that most people are afraid to ask. Most people are afraid to ask the hard questions, so you need to. And you need to figure that out. And find the answers by not having to seek approval from others, but digging within, digging deep within, oneself. And frankly, you can't find the answers outside. So there's strength, like I say, in solitude. You don't have to put on the mask of you. You don't need to put on a show. And again, like I said recently, I was at a party and I found that I was like that with trying to fit in. And my partner sort of makes fun of me for this. She goes, "Oh, you don't just sort of jump in and start talking." But the funny thing is, and I'm going to say this, and she can defend it. Once I find that person I connect with, it takes me a minute, and I enjoy it. We find some subjects, then it's like I am now. Man, I open up and I enjoy it, and I'm on. I'm happy to put on a show. I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to get that back and forth and that open discourse. All subjects are on the table. That's why I love being on the radio. This is my passion, and I enjoy that. And then it's funny. My partner goes, "Oh, you tend to be silent for a bit at the party," but then she comes up and finds me and goes, "Oh, you done yet? Done talking? Have you taken a breath?" All right, I'm just saying, a little bit passive aggressive there, if you ask me. First I wasn't talking, now I'm talking too much. Well, you got to pick one. So, do you enjoy my show or not? What can I say? If you don't like it, walk away. So that's really all I have to say, is that it is important. Men you need to find a way to cultivate those friendships, and your partner or your wife or your female friends aren't going to be the cruise director anymore. But again, there's also a time to be alone, and you can be proud of that if you are someone who is secure walking that road alone, and happy to face all that comes in the silence. And then when you're ready, you come back happy and stable, and tell your friends. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. And like I say, November, that should just be the whole month, Men's Health. And next November 19th, don't skip International Men's Day. I think we should celebrate it. All right, more great music coming up next on Radio Emotion's Jam Session after a word from our awesome sponsors.